Good evening. As the new year gets underway, the challenges London faces in 2025 may seem frustratingly familiar. Tackling crime, a lack of affordable housing and a transport system in urgent need of investment. Sir Sadiq Khan, though, has told us he's excited about the year ahead and promises he can deliver change for the capital. Our political correspondent Simon Harris sat down with the Mayor shortly before his knighthood was announced.
I'm really excited about 2025. We have a new government elected just 5 months ago. From the experience I've had over the last 5 months, this is a government that wants to work with us. No member of this government has criticised London, has slagged off our city, has talked down our city. And just in the first 5 months, we've had announcements that support High Speed 2 coming to Euston. Two big prizes for us in 2025. For the first time in a long time, the potential of a comprehensive spending review that gives us a multi-year deal. That's really important to plan for the future. And secondly, we're going to be publishing a London growth plan, and I'm determined to work with the private sector to help create more than £150,000 well-paid jobs in London.
You spoke in the election about working with a Labour government, with the winds of a Labour government on your backs instead of rowing against the tide of a Conservative government. Yet you didn't get the money you wanted for Transport for London. The Commissioner wanted 650 million. You got 485 million.
What's the new government done just in the first 5 months? Almost doubled the amount of capital money we received for TfL last year with the previous government. It was £250 million. This year, it'll be approaching £500 million. That's just for 1 year, but the prize on top of that is a multi-year long-term deal for TfL, really important.
You promised 1,300 police and PCSOs if you were re-elected, yet the Commissioner's talking about losing 2,300 police officers.
So over the course of the next 4 years, my next mayoral term, my promise is there'll be 1,300 more police officers and PCSOs.
So you're saying that the 2,300 jobs which the Commissioner says are at risk aren't at risk?
Yeah, what we're doing with the Commissioner is working out our budget for 25-26. We'll then be working with the Commissioner to lobby the government for the spending review.
You've been told by the government to build 88,000 new homes a year. Can you do that?
What the government has said is the need of London is 88,000 homes in 1 year. There's never been a time in history that I can find where London has built that many homes. We're actually completing more homes than any time since the 1930s. What we're going to do is work with the government to make sure we get additional funds from the government towards the affordable housing programme. But work with developers.
How much do you need?
Well, we're talking billions of pounds.
Is that realistic?
We need it.
This year's going to see the introduction of tolls on the Blackwall Tunnel and the new tunnel. Are you expecting the same sort of backlash you had with ULEZ?
Well, look, the Silvertown Tunnel actually was an idea from Boris Johnson, and he deserves credit for recognising that in that part of London there's a paucity of river crossings. The Blackwall Tunnel, Victorian Tunnel, on average closes 700 times a year. Every 5-minute closure leads to a 3-mile tailback. So the Silvertown Tunnel is funded by future users paying for the Silvertown Tunnel. But obviously what we don't want is displacement to an old Victorian tunnel by everyone going there because it's free. So the plan he had was for both tunnels to be a user charge. What we've done, though, is make sure there is 2 lanes reserved for buses in the Silvertown Tunnel.
£8 a day for a return journey. It's a lot of money.
It depends what time of day you use the tunnel. Some parts of the 24 hours are free. Other parts of the daytime are reduced amount. The rush hour, clearly, is going to be a bit more expensive for obvious reasons. We've got to make sure that we've got traffic flowing through these 2 tunnels rather than what we have at the moment, which is gridlock.
Cleaning up London's air was your big ambition in the last term. What's the big ambition this time?
Well, it was an ambition that was delivered. A number of plans I've got over this next mayoralty. We want to make the same progress in water as we've done on air in relation to the River Thames. It's disgraceful, the sewage spillage that takes place in the River Thames. We're losing bird species, losing fish species. We're going to clean that up so it's swimmable in most parts of the River Thames. We're going to make progress in relation to more of our buses being electric. We currently have, since I've been mayor, the most electric buses of any city in the Western world. I want all our buses to be electric by the end of this decade. I want to make sure that our city carries on being the global city it is.
This year marks 20 years since the 7/7 bombings, and as the anniversary approaches, Sir Sadiq Khan says Londoners owe it to those who lost their lives to stand united against terrorism. Speaking to ITV News London, the Mayor says we need to always be vigilant as the threat never goes away. Here's our political correspondent Simon Harris.
I remember where I was on the 7th of July 2005. Many of us won't forget where we were, that panic in the morning where you're ringing your loved ones to see if they're okay. 52 lives were lost on that day, and it's really important this year, the 20th anniversary, we commemorate that horrific, atrocious terrorist attack. We'll be working closely with the 7/7 organising committee, bereaved families, survivors, to make sure we have an event or events that are befitting the anniversary of 7/7. It's really important we remind ourselves this was an attempt by terrorists not simply to kill and spread terror, but to divide our city. And I'm sure those bereaved families, there's not a minute where they don't miss their loved ones. Our job as a city is to remember them, but in their honour stay united and say no to terrorism.
Is the threat from terrorists less now than it was then?
I speak regularly to not just the Commissioner, but those in charge of counter-terrorism, and the phrase they use, I'm afraid, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. That's the attitude we've got to have. Yeah, that's the attitude we've got to have in relation to terrorists. They hate what we stand for, our diversity, our pluralism, human rights, democracy, and so we've got to be vigilant at all times. But I'm afraid the bad news is there is still this ongoing threat to our great city.
July is also the 20th anniversary of London winning the Olympics in 2012. You've talked about the 2040 Games. You can't do it without government support. The government doesn't have the bandwidth at the moment. Is it still an ambition?
It is. Look, the government's got an awful inheritance. They're trying to clean up this black hole the previous government left behind. So I appreciate them being preoccupied, but I think it's really important to see the benefits of an Olympics, particularly when we would have probably the greenest Olympics ever. We've got all the assets. I saw how wonderful Paris was last year. They had to build a lot. I'm not sure, and I say this not in any way to be unkind to the French, the legacy will be as great as London was in 2012. But also, the advantage of us bidding for Olympics in 2040 is that the cost would be minimal compared to other cities bidding. We now know, not just from the Commonwealth Games and from Football World Cups, but also Olympics, often the cost can put off new cities bidding. And that's one of the reasons why I think we've got a real opportunity to bring the Olympics back to London, the first city ever to have 4.
But you've got a bit of arm twisting to do with ministers first.
It's not a question of arm twisting, it's recognising that in the first 5-6 months this government has got more challenges to address. But I want them to realise that there's an opportunity by bidding for a London Olympics in 2040.
Finally, are you going to stick around for all 4 years?
Absolutely. Look, as long as Londoners continue to lend me their vote, I think I've got the best job in politics. But also, it's an opportunity for me to give back to this city. I benefited, and my family benefited, from the London Promise. The London Promise is very simple. You work hard, you get a helping hand, and you can achieve anything. As long as I can be that helping hand, I'm going to carry on.
Is it too early to talk about 4th term?
It's just been 6 months since I won the last election. Let's wait and see.